Good evening. It is 6 p.m. We will call this meeting to order. Our board chair is on a work call and will join us shortly, but we will start the meeting anyway. If you would all join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Up next is a motion to adopt the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda this evening?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment. I'd like to add a recommendation for the superintendent salary to be added to tonight's agenda, but for the recommendation to be addressed in the June meeting for the 26-27 salary for 177. Sorry, I'm not saying it very well. 177,000. That's my
Thank you. We will add that as R under new. Adopt the agenda. A second? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Up next, under information and proposals, is A, recognition of district staff retiring with 5 years or more of. There's a typo in our packet, and I can't read well. 5 years or more of district service and district staff resigning with 10 years or more of district service.
We're going to go ahead and start off with Lingo Fort Laramie Schools, and those will be honored by Principal Corey Gilchrist.
You can get a summer to buffer a little bit. Thing about Denise, regardless of classification, she was one of the best educators I've ever been. She was our library aide, but I can truly say that she's a teacher as I've ever been. She was fantastic. Big loss, we replaced her with a fantastic person, but somebody like Denise Jackson was very hard. The other one is Roger Spears. So I stole him from this office, actually. So that was a wonderful thing. I usually try to steal from the other principals in here, but stole this one from, Mr. Derby, that not necessarily, but Mr. Derby and Mr. Spears set the gold standard for facilitators in this district. When they started their thing, you could go into one of these boardrooms and it was like somebody wallpapered the place with data. And they worked hand in hand with the teachers. They were out in the buildings helping facilitate meetings. And he and Roger kind of led that charge. When he came to my building, he kept that going within my staff and is a fantastic science teacher. I'm a former science teacher, so I could very much appreciate what Roger Spears did with what he had, having 4 or 5 different preps, running labs, doing a fantastic job. So Roger Spears will be very much missed in our building. Mr. Lashley, come up and join me. So the 36 years thing, I mentioned this during our work assembly with our staff, that I spent 13 years as a dogger in school and 14 years as a principal there. And I'm still not even close to the all-time dogger with 36 years standing next to me. So 36 years going in and out the same building every single day. 26 years as an athletic director, 8 years as a dean, taught 18 different math and science classes. We joke about this, but my senior year is when Mr. Lashley started. So I didn't have him as a teacher, had him kind of as a coach during the track season. He was nicer than. This guy showed up and is walking around and is like, hey, we got a new sophomore kid showed up, very young looking. And then it turns out he's our science teacher. So interesting. He always jokes that he would have been a lot nicer to me. I was going to be his boss. Coach volleyball, basketball, and wrestling and track. course. Been a part of 16 state track championships and 9 state runner-ups. Won 318 volleyball matches over 19 years. Coached in 2 state championship volleyball matches, runner-up in each. Was the National Track and Field Coach of the Year finalist twice. Is in the Wyoming Coaches Association Hall of Fame and the National Coaches Association Hall of Fame. So can't say enough. It's going to be, you can't replace somebody that has been as important to LFL as Mr. Lashley and then have done it for nearly 4 decades. That's going to be a tough, it's going to be an interesting year next year, not having Mr. Lashley running around out there. He's been a staple. He's been the anchor of our building. It's just going to be different. I hope good, and we wish him well. He's taking on just a teaching job going forward, which I don't know what he's going to do with all that time out before. So the Mrs. Lashley staying, so that's very important to this. But stay a daughter. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Cheers.
All right, for our next school, we'll go with Torrington Middle School and honored by Principal Logan Barker.
We currently have one that will be resigning with us, Miss Stacy Baker. She is moving on to some greener pastures for some family. I can't speak enough on what kind of individual she is, as well as her and her family. She raised some amazing kids. I got to coach Ryan in basketball, and you can always tell a representation of parenting based off of some of the kids. And Ryan was super coachable all the time. You ask him to do something, he would do it. And that's just a testament to them and their family and everything that they do. So I wish her well, and we are going to miss her at TMS.
All right, our next school, Torrington High School, honored by Principal Ellen Van Tilburg.
Got 2 tonight. We'll start out with Mr. Holly. Mr. Holly's been with us for 20 years. I believe he started out in Montana. That's what I thought, and then wound up in Newcastle. And then he saw the light and moved to Torrington, back in Ocean County. Since he's been with us, he's been a business teacher. He's taught coached the girls basketball team, most recently the golf team. He and I have a long history. I used to referee a lot of his games. He usually didn't make it through a lot of those games, but we've learned to get along with that. I respect him a lot as a coach. We first started, we had to work together. I'll just say it that way. But over the years, he put together some very respectable teams. My daughter played in Alliance, and I remember he brought a really good team into Alliance, and they had some good battles together. So I respect him as a coach tremendously. He's done great things with our golf program. I know he plans on doing a lot of golfing moving forward, correct? Yeah. So we're going to miss having him there. He's one of our, what I call old wood teachers. So when I go to seek some historical knowledge of the building and how things have been done in the past, he's definitely somebody I give an ear to because he's seen a few things at Torrington High. So also I'd like to acknowledge Patty Kelly. Patty has been with us 21 years as a paraeducator. Patty is known for being super good with math. Like, she has a math mind and has done great things with our kids as a para, a lot of one-on-one work. She also has super high expectations for our kids. Nothing gets past Patty Kelly. So we're going to miss her, but we do wish her the best moving into both of these two into retirement. So thank you guys very much.
The next group from Trail Elementary, and we're actually going to have Jennifer Brummel honor those since Mr. Florshinger is out of town. And so we'll have Jennifer come on up.
Okay, so I'm honoring Susan Keller, who's been teaching in our district for 16 years, and Stacy John, who's been here for 28 years. And so Tyler typed up something for me that he wanted to say. So he said, I've had the honor to get to know Susan and Stacy over the past 12 years as employees, but most importantly as great human beings. Susan and Stacy have made a monumental impact on students as educators over the last 2+ decades. I wish them all the best in their next phase of life, and even though they will not be at Trail as an employee, they will always be true friends.
And next school we'll have is Southeast Schools, honored by Principal Tim Williams.
Good evening. It's my privilege this evening to honor Beth Simmons, who has been at Southeast. It says on here 25 years. You said the other day 24 years, so.
I told you math is not my strong.
She really, she really wanted to make 25 years, so let's go with the way. 25 years. Beth started with us, obviously 25 years ago in the library and worked. And has always been really great with kids. She moved to the Title I room. Has been a reading interventionist for quite a while with Mrs. Correa. Beth is, like I said, is super great with kids. She's always been very kind. She has a way of connecting with them. She is always the first to say, I'll do that, ask for extra things. I know she may not always want to do the duties that I ask her to do, but she's always willing. She always goes and does the duties that I ask her to do. And I've just always appreciated her willingness to be a team player. And
All right, and last but certainly not least, Lincoln Elementary, honored by Principal Lana Swingholm. Okay. Oh, shoot. Okay. All right. Well, maybe we might have that as a rain check for the June meeting, so we'll put that off. All right. Completed those.
Okay. Thank you so much for all of your service and enjoy your retirement. Up next is our scholarship presentations by the Board of Trustees to the 2025 student representatives to the Board of Trustees. Our student representatives were Aaron Dykes for the Platte River School, King Velasquez for the Torrington High School, Kaiten Shoref, Lingle Fort Laramie High School, and Casey Kosmicki, Southeast High School.
I just want to say a few words because I really appreciated this group. Unfortunately, Mr. Velasquez had to work this evening, so we're going to honor him in June, but I really appreciated the work that these young students did. Aaron's reports from Platte River School during the year, if you ever had a chance to watch them, or if you want to go back on YouTube TV, I would like to have you do that because Aaron did a really nice job. He is a soft-spoken young man. But he actually does a fantastic job in conveying a lot of the messages that PRS kind of embodies. And it was really neat to see that and really appreciated getting to know you. So thank you for your time that you spent as a student rep. Thank you. And Kaiten Shilra from Lingo Fort Laramie. Really appreciate the work that she did and kind of providing some insights for Lingo Fort Laramie. And she's a young woman who is very well spoken. I had an opportunity to listen to her on Monday at Rotary Club, and she does a fantastic job of kind of conveying the messages and things and the information, and did a great job of bringing some insight to Lingle. So really appreciate all the work you did, and really good luck in the future, because I know some great things will be happening for you in the future too. So thank you. Are you worried about this one? No, not at all. Casey Kosmicki, the representative from Southeast High School. Casey, I've known for a number of years and had the opportunity to get to know her also as a student rep this year, but in previous years. She's a phenomenal young woman, and anything that she sets her sights on, she goes after. And it came through in the presentations that she had for Southeast also. She did a phenomenal job. She is going to be one that just watch out. It's very similar. She lives life like she does on the basketball court, almost like her hair is on fire, and it is awesome to watch. And I love getting to know her and all the things that we can look forward to her accomplishing in the years to come. So thank you for your service, correct?
Thank you for serving as our student reps. Up next, item C, our Compass Academy program report.
It was brought to my attention. It was brought to my attention that perhaps some of my colleagues in the district did not understand what Compass Academy was all about and maybe get it confused with Platte River School. So I'm hoping after our presentation tonight that people have a better understanding of what Compass Academy entails. So the mission of Compass Academy is that we will help all students be productive citizens of the community, whether that's employment and or community service to our local community. The students work on functional academic skills such as reading a recipe, completing basic forms and job applications, and computing elapsed time so that they can fill out their time cards at their work sites. They work on independent living skills such as personal hygiene, doing laundry, washing dishes, drafting a grocery list, shopping for items, and cooking a variety of recipes. They work on money management skills and determine if they have enough money to make purchases. The students also work on social emotional skills so they know how to get along with coworkers, how to resolve conflict, and how to advocate for themselves and others. Employment skills are a focus at Compass Academy. All students are placed on an authentic, meaningful employment opportunity in the community where they learn valuable skills. And we are so blessed to live in a community where we have employers that are willing to partner with us and give Compass Academy students a fair shot. You'll hear some success stories from the students in regard to their employment tonight.
Hello, my name is Sage Johansson. In Compass Academy, I have learned that I can do other things like public speaking. By joining several different employment sites, I have discovered what types of employment I do not enjoy.
Something that is beneficial for all.
I have worked on a functional academical skills by improving my money management skills. I started by learning the value of each coin to now being able to count random amounts of coins. I can also read and follow a task list, a necessary skill to my employment sites.
My name is Laura Doucette. I have learned to use my voice more this year with sorry guys, I got to move the glasses. Both at Compass Academy and at my employment site at the Cobblestone Hotel. I have improved my functional academic skills by learning to tell time and mastering coin recognition. I have learned a leisure activity of loom knitting that I will be able to continue at home since this is my last year at Compass Academy.
Hello, my name is Cutter Billinger Smith at Compass Academy. This year, I have learned how to complete tasks in a timely manner, both in the classroom and at my employment site. I have improved my functionality academy skills by completing job applications so that I can find summer employment. I have demonstrated leadership skills by helping my peers with an independent living task of cooking a treat. I have learned to synergize and work as a team when we are completing our community service projects. I have demonstrated that I can be reliable and work independently at my employment site at Heartland Embroidery.
Hello, my name is Edward J. Haas at Compass Academy. This year, I have worked really hard on controlling my emotions both in the classroom and at my employment site. I have learned how to read and completing a task list, which is which is an important skill at my employment site at the Goshen County Library. I have improved my safety and learning how to use the oven and cook some tasty items. This is my last year at Compass Academy, and next year I will continue to work at the Goshen County Library because they feel that I am a valuable part of the team.
Hello, my name is Zoe Nichols. What I have learned at Compass Academy is how to manage my emotions and regulate myself better. I have shown leadership skills by volunteering to be a peer tutor with a struggling learner. I have also improved my money management skills by learning the value of all coins and determining if I have enough money in my account to make purchases. I have demonstrated mastery of employment soft skills at my employment site of the hospital cafeteria. My supervisor recently asked me to begin working during the lunch rush so I can help out and learn some new skills.
Hello, my name is Haven Torres. I have used the habit of think win-win to tutor my peers and help them succeed. I have learned how to use my voice to advocate for myself. At my employment site, I had a goal for myself to get a job at Burger King, and I have accomplished this goal. You will see me at Burger King this summer, so come get a treat.
My whole head's in. Oh no. Okay. Hello. My name is Doris Joe Hudson. I have involved that loud. Hello, my name is Doris Joe Hudson. I have involved my my involvement in plummet skills while working at the GCSD management department. I still even want me to help out mowing lawns this summer. I have involved my real life within skills and can follow and complete a task list and a recipe. I can make a mean fix in a blanket and home and some tasty homemade mac and cheese. I have learned how to use my voice and advocate for others. I have discovered that I have a heart for senior citizen citizen though our our community service project at Evergreen Plaza. I have been able to help a was a win. Wait, I have been able to help a resident play bingo. You may have seen me on the Compass Academy Facebook page. Yeah, my whole was a second.
James Turner. In Compass Academy, I have learned leadership skills, independently taught a lesson to my peers, growing naturally. I have learned important financial, functional, financial, functional financial skills like learning how to read a task list and completing, checking off items as I complete them. I have improved my social emotion skills so that I can communicate with my coworkers. This skill has helped me get hired on at Fresh Foods.
Hello, my name is Annika Kramer. I have learned that community service projects makes an impact. I'm invested in Coten's Totes of Hope, helping to fight food insecurity in our community. I also had an idea to make cards for our residents at a local assisted living facility, which has blossomed into the Compass Academy students doing a monthly activity with the residents. Something that has been difficult for me is transitioning from one activity to another. I have improved with this by working at my 2 jobs, Wagon Tail Shelter, Holiday Inn, and having to switch from one task to another quickly. I have discovered that I'm capable of completing college classwork and received an A in my first 2 classes.
Yeah, we're on. I just wanted to kind of make sure everybody on this program, this was something, moving into the district 7 years ago. This was relatively new to our district. And the services for students 18 to 21-year-olds, that obviously many of these students have a lot of various skills. And going into adulthood, the challenge of finding the right services for your kid and the work that many of those parents have to work through is really challenging. And so having that program is very, very meaningful to this district, and really appreciate the community and the support, because that truly, when you kind of have that transition of having a student in classrooms that have that next transition to college and those next steps, and then you kind of look in the uniqueness of the path for many of these kids and how that works, and trying to balance all those things. Those support systems are really important, and it's really important too, as a community, we still look at and investigate what pieces we might be missing. There are examples as they age out of this program, the very difficult piece of staying in those employment opportunities. As you heard one of the students reference that they age out of the program at 21, it creates this gap piece of where we have these transitions and those supports. And it's really important for us as a community to ask those questions. How are we best serving those unique needs of our children? Because all of our children are important, no matter what services they require, on the highest level of needs, or on the needs that we kind of have into a regular setting that looks into that next step. But it is really, really appreciated by the parents, the amount of programs that we have in our community and the employment opportunities. It is phenomenal what we're able to do and accomplish, but there's lots of work to continue to do. So thank you for letting me get on that soapbox and actually pulling it back together.
I'm going to happily turn the meeting back over to our board chair because she came back.
Thank you, Vice Chair. All right, it looks like we are on update on district communication plan to be presented by Mr. Derby and Miss Laura.
So a few years back, when I guess my first year in this job, it had come up for accreditation that we needed to link a communication plan, and it hadn't been updated in quite some time. So Ms. Laura and I have been working together along with Mr. Harbert's the tech director to kind of formulate a little bit of a plan. So we kind of looked at a few different plans from different districts across the state and some even out of state. And we kind of cobbled some things together and took the best of those and kind of with some existing pieces and put this through the policy committee here. And I think we have a fairly good plan going forward and a way to kind of keep it updated going forward as well. So I don't know if you want to talk some more about the specifics of it, but.
Ms. Laura, do you mind going to the mics just so everybody can hear you? Thank you.
Plan had not been updated September of 2017. So it was very much out of date. A lot of things had occurred nationally and locally in that time. So it really was due for a refresh. So what we worked on is a broad picture that the community members can use, that parents can use, that staff can use to talk to if they have a concern, where can they go? Not necessarily who they talk to, but in the overarching, do you go to the principal? Do you go to the director of curriculum? Do you go to the superintendent, and in what order? So it really is beneficial, I think, for the community, for our staff, as well as those are parents and students. Anyone can make use of it. That was our goal, and I believe we accomplished that goal. Thank you. Any questions on that? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is committee reports. We'll start off with the DAC, the District Activity Advisory Council. Someone from DAC want to give a brief report?
I wasn't able to make the DAC last month, so I don't know if Dylan made it or.
A little bit, talked about wrestling, and it's kind of talking about, and a little bit about some aspects of like the teams traveling and staying. Just the time frame of when can a team stay overnight, day before, after. There's some concerns about different sports and
Thank you, Trustee Hager. District Policy Committee. Trustee Chairs, you're reaching for your mic.
Sure. It was last week, so it's a little bit fuzzy,
Oh,
but we discussed the communication plan again, the one that Mr. Derby and Miss Laura just discussed a little bit. We also discussed the telephone policy for our district, as well as the building use policy, both of which were required by the legislature for us to have finished by June 1. And then the final discussion was around our busing route and our attendance areas. Did I miss one? I feel like there was more. Felt like a long meeting.
Great, thank you. Next is reports on school building information and events by board liaisons. So first and foremost, the month of May is insane for administrators. So if you did not have the opportunity to meet with your administrator, please do not feel bad. Do not apologize for that. It's a rough time to try and take time to meet with them when they're trying to wrap up the school year and so forth. So if anyone has a report, great. If not, we can move on. I see people reaching for their mics. No, you're fine. Trustee Sharp.
Madam Chair, I was able to meet with Principal Barker at the Torrington Middle School this morning, so it's actually sort of fresh, although I will murder some of the terminology. But he has done, I believe, an amazing job. It's his first year as principal at the school, and he just has such a positive outlook on everything. And he went in there with ideas how to support the staff and improve programs, and it sounded really amazing. I love his he has a Torrington Middle School resource page that he's put together for the staff that gives them at a glance major references that they are able to access without having to look through everything, and it gives them the link so they can go right to it. It's got to save that staff time and to have this right at their fingertips, and it is amazing. I don't have access to it, but he did give me a copy, and absolutely amazing. I can see where that would be very helpful. He's also working on a new, I believe it's new GRIT program. I'm not sure about the acronyms, but he is focusing very much on literacy across the board, and using multiple teachers, multiple subjects, all reinforcing literacy within their own subject. So he is really bringing a big stress on the literacy program in the Torrington Middle School, and I think that is a great idea, personally. So I really applaud him for all the work he has done and all the work the staff has done in order to implement this program. He also has put in accountability and maybe responsibility type things for the staff, maybe not the staff, the students. It's called Trail of Excellence, and he's got a 5-step program that outlines what they look for and what the mindset is. And it's a guideline for the students. And it basically, to me, is a win-win. It lets the students know what the expectations are, and they are able to then succeed. And I think it's a great deal. And finally, he is way on top of monitoring the different scores and tests that are going on. He gave me a little bit of a reference to the Y-tops, and he is looking at those and looking at where we started at the beginning of the year, where we're ending at it this year, and how we compare to several of the class, I mean, it was class 1A schools across the district, across the different districts. And so it's a great tool to, I mean, it's not the only tool you ever want to look at, but it's a great tool to look at and monitor and see where we're landing. So I think he's done a lot of work in his first year, and I do applaud him for that. And I applaud his staff for being willing to embrace the changes. And I hope that they're working good together as a team. I haven't heard anything different, so
Great.
thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sharp.
Great. It was a wonderful meeting. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. Trustee Goulart, were you reaching for your microphone?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So yeah, I did have my first meeting with Mr. Van Tilburg. He was extraordinarily generous with his time. We talked about a few things, but the thing we probably spent the most amount of time on was APL. And I got to say, I'm enthusiastic about what it is. I'm enthusiastic about what it's not. And I just got the intro, so a very shallow dive into it. But from what I've seen so far, not to oversell it because it still has to be implemented. But I'm expecting good things out of it. I actually have a slide, Mike. Will that work? Mr. Van Tilburg was kind enough to let me take a screenshot of the textbooks that informed this program. And I told him, he offered me one of the books to take home and read. And I said, well, no, I've got 17 books in the queue. And you know what? After ruminating on our meeting, I think I'm going to rearrange my queue and dive into that center book was the one that we focused on. Mr. Van Tilburg, if I misstate something, He is here, correct?
He had to step out to the band concert.
Okay,
So he,
well, then I'll try not to say something that's not correct, but we've spent most of our time focusing on that center book. I think, and maybe Mr. Derby might know, the bulk of the training probably focuses on that center book. But so I wanted to share that with everybody in the trustees, if you wanted to see what the inner workings are of APL. And guess what? It's not just another acronym. That was one of my concerns. I thought, great, we're going to throw another acronym at the staff and hope it works. It's actually not an acronym. It's actually the first letter of the last names of the 3 individuals that developed this program. And from what I can see, it's really just honing, sharpening some skills. And the results have been good. I think we're extraordinarily blessed that Mr. Van Tilburg is not just promoting this because it's an edict from on high. He's actually used this downrange, so to speak. He has experience with it. He's used it both here in the States and overseas. So he not only, it's not theoretical for him, he's used it. So I'm really excited about Torrington High being a laboratory for this innovation and seeing if it'll go. I know he's already introduced it initially to a teacher or two at least. And the feedback has been positive. So anyways, that was mostly what our meeting was about. And keep an eye on this because I think it might be different. And the skills that are in there, I think the thing that caught my attention most about it is, even though the focus is on teaching, just going through the skills that were being highlighted in the program would transfer into business world, would transfer into life, for having a skill set to accomplish things and stay organized, which I struggle with that. So organization, but anyways, so I'm happy to report that was a very positive meeting.
Great.
And this is worth being enthusiastic about. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Mr. Kramer, just for a point of clarification, APL is being, what's the word I'm looking for? Used throughout the entire district.
correct.
Okay.
Yep, that is correct. And also some of the pieces through Guiding Coalition, there's different chapters in that book that cover different strategies, and a number of the strategies across the district have been already implemented this year through just the training in our Guiding Coalition through Mr. Van Tilburg's work. I actually had gone through the training also back in 2002 in my previous district. So it's been around for a while. It is very good stuff, and I'm very excited for the district to be able to get the full training from all those coming in this August.
Fantastic. Implemented. That was the word I was looking for. Trustee Alexander, were you also reaching for your microphone?
Yes.
You bet.
Okay, excuse me. I had Mr. Daly contact me from LaGrange because that was my school that I was going to go to. And I was lucky enough to attend a talent show. So I got to see all.
Of course you did, Mr. Daly.
So anyway, when I showed up, first thing when you walked in the door, you had a chance to vote on the kids. There was samples of printing of multiple sentences there, and then they also have cursive writing. So everybody that came in had to choose, which was not easy to do, what the best printed sentences were and what the best cursive writing was. And it's like, well, they do a lot better of both of those than I do. So we got to do that right away. They did have a carry-in buffet for everybody that came. And then when we got to go in and do a talent show, it was ran by the students. They did all of it. They picked the songs. They arranged the show. They did the lineup. They did all the dance moves. They did all the emceeing. Mr. Daly, what did you do? He got to sit back and enjoy and see the fruits of his labors there. So I have to say, all of the kids did an amazing job there. They all knew exactly what they were supposed to do. There was no confusion. It was ran like a professional show, really. Those kids put a lot of time and effort into it. So I have to say, I probably had the most enjoyable of all of the schools to go do and see and everything like that. So, Mr. Daly, those kids did an amazing job, and I really appreciate everything that they did, and you've done a very good job there. Oh, and the kitchen is very empty. So looking forward to what's coming into the kitchen next.
Renovation. Yep. Great. Thank you, Trustee Alexander. Anyone else? I don't want to skip anybody if they, no? Okay. Fantastic. We will go ahead and move on to public comment. So just looking out into the audience tonight, I get the impression that many of you are here for wrestling. And so I'm going to try and lump the wrestling comments together. So if I miss anybody, please let me know. If you're new to attending a school board meeting for the public session, if you could fill out their yellow slips, I think, Mike, there's still some in the back of the room. There's still time if you'd like to fill one out and give it to Ms. Fritzler. That would be great. Just some of the kind of ground rules for public comment is you are limited to 5 minutes. Mike Harberts will put the 5-minute timer on the screen. If you can see that far, we'll give you a heads up. Do our best to stick to that 5-minute limit. Comments are restricted in that, no vulgar language, no disparaging language. Please be respectful and avoid using names specifically of personnel of the school district. So with that, and completely random, I promise, Mrs. Hager, you are first. Only because I lumped all the wrestling together and it just put you first. I'm sorry.
Thank you, members of the board, for giving us an opportunity to speak. We've had the wrestling topic. There's been several forums, surveys, giving the public and those of us with a vested interest in this program an opportunity to voice our opinions. And I just want to keep this really positive, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't recognize kind of where we've been and where we're going. My husband and I had someone on the team the last time this discussion came up. At that point in time, we took 6 kids to state wrestling. The program was very new. Our coaching staff was very new. Wrestling is a difficult sport. If you're not involved in it, it's a unique sport. It's not football. It's not basketball. And 6 kids in the wrestling room is very, very difficult. And I want to give a public shout out to our coaching staff, who has done an absolute phenomenal job establishing relationships, caring about kids, growing that program to where we are now back-to-back regional champions, several state champions. We've placed at state. And they did that after coming before the board and saying, we need to combine. We don't have enough kids. We got to combine. This isn't going to work. What are we going to do? You need competition in the wrestling room. And Torrington was excluded from that combination. And instead of that being a negative thing, their heads were put down. We established a parent group. We dug in, and we created a culture. Blazer wrestling is special. I love Blazer football, but Blazer wrestling, there's nothing like it. So it's a testament to these coaches. I have opinions on this, and their opinions, you guys have a short amount of time to make a decision tonight. I hope that you don't make it quickly. I hope you ask questions. There's a lot of pride and tradition in every single one of these programs, and no one wants to lose that. And I just ask you to take it seriously. If you don't know, ask around, take a pause. I know time is kind of the essence, but losing what we've created hurts. And I think every program could speak to that. I understand you've got to grow. I understand change happens. The other thing I would say is please keep in mind, this is not, Mr. Kramer made this very clear, this is not a financial decision. So please keep that in mind. Programs are cyclical. they change. There can be not very many kids in the wrestling room this year, and that can change very easily. Our Blazer wrestling program is a testament to that, a highly successful testament to that. So kudos to our coaches. I can't say enough about it. I don't want to lose what they've created. Selfishly, I don't want to lose that for my soon-to-be junior in high school, whose dad wore a Blazer wrestling jacket that sits in my kids' closet. My oldest son has his wrestling jacket, and Garrett earned his freshman year. That stuff matters. That tradition matters. And please keep that in mind when you vote. And thank you. I know we're not supposed to say names, but there's 3 of them in this room right now. Having those guys in our schools around our kids matters. So please keep that in mind.
Thank you very much. Next is Carissa Bennett.
Hi, my name is Carissa Bennett. I am, don't know why I'm nervous. I am.
Don't be, you're fine.
Scary people.
Yeah.
I'm the parent of, soon to be 4 students in Goshen County School District. I'm a substitute teacher in all of the schools. And I'm the parent of 2 wrestlers, a high school boy and a middle school girl. I'm a house divided when it comes to this issue. So my request to you is that you don't just write off the wrestling decision as trivial. If you don't have a skin in the game, I didn't come from a wrestling background, wrestling family. So when my kids decided to wrestle, it was like, okay. But it is a very unique sport, and it is a very special. And it is a really big deal to these athletes. Even if I don't fully understand, being a part of the Blazer wrestling family this last year, it is a really big deal. And it is a beautiful community to be part of. I can speak to that community. I can also speak to the middle school girls combined wrestling family that felt a little disjointed because at a wrestling tournament, you had half the girls in Blazer uniform or Blazer singlets and the other half in Southeast LFL singlets. And so we didn't look like a team because we weren't the same. They competed like a team, they cheered for each other, but the visual of being a team was off. We preach to our students and our athletes repeatedly. We drill it into them how important it is for them to represent their team in their school. They are held to a high standard because they are representing the Blazers, the Doggers, or the Cyclones. I think that it's important to know that. We expect them to take great pride in that and who they are as a school. And they often define themselves and find their identity in their mascot. What does it mean to be a Dogger? What does it mean to be a Cyclone? What does it mean to be a Blazer? So to combine those, please don't take the decision lightly. Please don't just write this off as an easy issue because it's a sports team. Because for some of these kids, it's their future. They're going to school on wrestling scholarships. We have a high school, a Torrington Blazer female athlete who is going on a full ride on a wrestling scholarship. That's something to be surprised, to be excited and encouraged about in a program that had, I think, 5 girls in it. It is so much more than just a simple sports team. And so, again, I have a house divided. I don't envy your decision, but please don't take this lightly. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mark Estes. You're hiding in the hallway.
Superintendent Kramer, board members, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Mark Estes, and I'm the parent of a lingual 8th grader and a lingual 5th grader. I'm the middle school assistant wrestling coach in Lingle. I'm the head wrestling coach of the Torrington Wrestling Club, which is a Goshen-wide community wrestling program. I am in support of combining these teams for many, many reasons, but I'll keep them brief tonight. As a parent, more important than winning and losing, I want my children to compete and to, excuse me, I want my children to compete with and against the best. I'm not necessarily concerned about them winning state championships, but I am concerned about them reaching their peak potential. I believe that that comes with added numbers in the rooms, the diversity of sizes. If we keep our programs separate and our athletes are struggling to find partners that challenge them at each weight, the culture and the competitiveness of each program will suffer. As the head coach of the Torrington Wrestling Club, we have 160 kids involved in that program, both male and female, from all 3 school areas. The culture that we're building in the club is pretty amazing. The camaraderie amongst the parents, amongst the athletes is really special. And for an outsider, it would be almost indiscernible to be able to pick out who is from what community. The kids cheer for each other. The parents cheer for each other's kids. It's really special. In fact, the strongest bonds that my kids are making are just as likely to happen with kids from other communities as in their own school community. In this school community, we have 6 high school basketball teams that have access to at least 6 gyms. Right now, we currently have 4 high school wrestling teams that have access to, I would call it 2.5 wrestling rooms. So beyond the conversation of combining, I would really recommend that going into the future, we look into making sure that we're providing adequate space and adequate types of facilities for our wrestling programs going forward. Female wrestling is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. And I think that speaks to the numbers that we have in our wrestling program. We have a lot of female wrestlers that are coming up that love it, enjoy it, and will continue with it. Keep it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Danny Bennett.
Hi, my name is Danny Bennett, and I am a freshman from Torrington High School. I'm asking that you do not join our wrestling teams because by joining the wrestling teams, students will get the opportunity to compete for higher levels. One of my fears is that I am Blazer. Sorry.
You're fine. Take your time.
What happens to our, reputation as once we join teams as, where all of our names are once you go to state, all of our names are put up on our different walls, where the Cyclones have theirs and, the Doggers have theirs and the Trailblazers have theirs. Where Cyclones wrestling room is too small for all of us to wrestle there. So do those names just go away, or do they get added where nobody gets to see them? Or Lingle Fort Laramie's there, but none of the boys wrestlers or girl wrestlers are in that room most of the time. So they always get to look at their wall of fame, where the Torrington Blazers have our big wrestling room with all of our names on it.
Mr. Bennett, can I ask you a real quick question?
Yeah.
So what you're referring to is each school has a wall of fame with the wrestlers' names on it?
Yeah.
Okay, Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Anyone else for wrestling that we've missed or didn't get an opportunity to fill out a yellow slip? I do want to give everybody the opportunity because it is a big decision that we are making. Okay, with that, John Maycomer. I apologize if I mispronounced your last name. Yeah, not my intent.
Intimidating following some of these previous speakers. There's a lot of achievement out there. This whole school district should be very proud of. My comments tonight are comments about a statement made by a board trustee in the last school board meeting. Not a formal or informal complaint that the trustee violated law, policy, ethical duties, or any board rules. At that last board meeting, after the board voted for censure itself, the trustee used a broad brush to characterize the members of the audience, then included other school district citizens in his remarks. The trustee said they had a message to the public. Then they corrected to say just a few members of the public probably know who you are. Bob Peterson, Scott Smith. I didn't realize that a school board trustee position gave license to publicly address specific members of the audience, such as Representative Smith. But wait, then the trustee extended those remarks to a couple of others that I probably don't know. I guess I must be one of the others. But I'll bet you have no idea of who I am and if your remarks apply to me or not. The trustee then says that they're curious about Representative Smith's and Mr. Peterson's and the others' unhealthy obsession with the school district. The trustee says that this poorly defined group of people just want to completely and always try to dig up dirt. Next, the trustee says, I mean, plumb obvious what you guys want to do. But in the very next breath, the trustee says, we don't know what it is. The trustee goes on to say, Bob, I mean, you're a military man, but you were on the board for what, a couple weeks? By the way, I'd sure like to know what you're trying to say about military men, because I happen to be one as well. The trustee continued, you decided to get off, but you kept hanging around. Actually, Mr. Peterson was an elected trustee for over 3 months and didn't just decide to get off. He resigned for serious health reasons. Why does this trustee need to bring up Mr. Peterson's past service to the board and his current attendance at board meetings? The trustee then goes on to say, but you just keep hanging around. So when you leave a school board, you're not allowed to hang around? Stay interested in the school board actions? How about the rest of us who hang around because we want to truly understand how our Goshen County schools are funded and run? Now it's Representative Smith's turn to receive the trustee's attention. Scott Smith, last board meeting, I walked through the hallway and heard you pray. And I'll just kind of paraphrase it a little bit, what I heard. Your prayer was something about asking God to reveal a darkness within our school district. It just kind of boggles me. So this trustee is boggled that people would pray for darkness to be revealed. You should have eavesdropped a little bit longer to get the full context. This was a prayer for our Goshen County students to receive a full and bountiful education without any obstacles, without darkness. What's so boggling about that? The trustee continues. So you can sit back there and smirk and smile all you want, but you know, it'd be nice somebody to say, you know, in a positive light, what do you want? What can we do? What can we help you out with? Some sort of solution other than sneaking around. You guys are grown men. Grown men? I guess it's nice that the trustee didn't say you guys are children. Please note that the trustee asked for Representative Scott and Mr. Peterson and the others to tell him what they want. Yet the trustee does not say what effort they have made to get input from Representative Scott, Mr. Peterson, and the rest of the public. In the Trustee Leadership Guidance Handbook, Section 1.4-1, Code of Conduct states, board members will represent the interests of the citizens of the entire school district. Section 1.5, Covenants, states board members will focus on issues rather than on personalities. Number 10 of that same section says, seek first to understand rather than to be understood. Number 14 of the same section says, assume a non-defensive posture, taking the initiative to communicate. So the core question to me is, how can I trust a school board that doesn't trust me or respect me?
Thank you. Next, per her request, is Ann Maycomer. Okay, great, thank you. Last is Jeremy Kloss.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Kloss. I'm a father of 2 children who attend schools here in Torrington. I am here tonight to express my displeasure that a school board member is exploiting his elected office to advance his personal moral and religious beliefs, blurring the line between his private religious views and his official capacity, which undermines the neutrality required of a public governing body. In a recent Facebook post, this board member used a flyer, which he removed from its posted location in public, to attack members of the LGBTQ+ community here in Torrington. Now, some of you may remember last September, at the start of the school year, a Goshen County teacher came under scrutiny for comments made on social media using her personal accounts. At that time, I strongly believed and told the board that the teacher in question should not face any negative consequences for her comments. So why am I here speaking up about a board member's social media posts? What makes this situation different? Simply put, this board member chose to leverage his elected position, whereas the teacher never once mentioned her position, nor attempted to use her experience to suggest that others should agree with her. However, in his social media post, this board member wrote about the LGBTQ group saying, quote, as an elected servant in this community, in an office that is directly related to the well-being of the youth in our community, I'm not giving this group the benefit of the doubt, end quote. He is abusing the tremendous responsibility his community entrusted him with to advance his personal views. I mentioned earlier that I am the father of 2 students in Torrington. One of those 2 students is openly gay. How can she feel safe going to school when one of our board members is allowed to pervert his office to push discriminatory rhetoric? His words have a chilling effect on her and an untold number of other Goshen County students. I therefore call on this board to amend its governing rules to adopt the same standards that Goshen County employees are held to in section 4350 regarding staff use of social media to forestall this kind of abuse of office happening again. It is my hope that the board would consider this before the election in this coming November. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Right, that is the end of public comment. Next, we will move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, I just had a little bit to share regarding enrollment, and I will share my screen. Okay, this is our April updated numbers. Any that do not have a color code represent staying the same. So as we move down the list, LaGrange, Lingo Fort, Laramie High School, Lingo Fort, Laramie Elementary did have a slight increase. Lingo Fort, Laramie Middle School remained the same. Lincoln Elementary had a less than one student equivalent decline. And then Southeast Elementary had a slight increase, also more or less remaining the same. Southeast High School, Southeast Junior High remaining within one. Then Trail Elementary at 236, THS, TMS, and then PRS. We are slightly higher than where we were in the month previous. This is actually also, as you look to the left, slightly higher than the year previous. And so that's encouraging that we did have an increase from the previous year as enrollment remains steady across the district. My next piece related to my report deals with openings within the district. We currently have 3 openings in the district. We have a half-time art teacher, a full-time special education teacher at Torrington Middle School, and a district speech pathologist. And so we're working on filling those positions. In relation to where we've been in the past in open positions, we are in a very fortunate position in comparable years. And so it's encouraging that some of the strategies that the board has undertaken through early retirement incentives or early resignation incentives have allowed us to get some of those harder to fill positions filled very early, especially in the math, science areas and the high school areas, in which have allowed us to fill those positions earlier on within the school year. So very confident of where we're sitting in relation to our opening positions. And that's everything I have in my report.
Fantastic. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Be straightforward. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moves.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is old business. This was the tabled item where we were discussing the approval of contracting for the floor or the gym flooring replacement project. That allowed us to get some additional information and to pick a better product, I think, was the point of all of that. So
We just had some questions on the painting of that, and we had some meetings actually that took place with Lincoln Elementary and feel very confident of where we're at right now.
fantastic. With that, I would take a motion to approve that recommendation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? Okay. All those in favor of approving contracting with Anderson Carpet for the replacement of the Lincoln Elementary gym and cafeteria floor in the amount of $49,044.46 to be paid by the Major Maintenance Fund, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. New business, consider approval of changes to high school wrestling programs. Is there a motion? I would remind this board with no motion, the agenda item dies. Okay. I'm taking that there are no desire to move forward with any action. So here's my concern. So my concern is if we don't take any action, keep in mind, one of the actions you can take is to table it to gather more information if the board is not comfortable. I'm sensing just from the look on some of your faces that maybe you share how I feel about it. I feel like, and I told Mr. Kramer this before the meeting, I haven't heard from anybody on this, like literally not good or bad, which is kind of surprising on something like this big. I kind of expected to. I did attend, many of you attended the discussion that Mr. Kramer held. and heard from a lot of parents in the community. So I felt really good about that because it felt like that was a good conversation. There were surveys that were done. And so I feel like from the district's perspective, we've done everything we can do, but I still don't feel very well informed, if that makes sense. And is that kind of why I'm seeing like confusion or blank faces? Okay. So with that, if you're uncomfortable taking action, I would recommend that trustee make a motion to table this matter for us to obtain more information. And as a board, I'd like to discuss what it is you're looking for, if that helps or makes sense.
Madam
Trustee
Chair.
Goulart?
Oh, sorry. I guess what I would ask is what would be the immediate consequences of not going with the changes?
I had that same question totally, Trustee Goulart, because somebody said, time is of the essence. Why? And I will fully admit I'm not a wrestling mom, so I just don't know what the timing is.
I have had the activities directors and coaches here, and I'm sure they would certainly be willing to speak on that. The one challenge I have is now for 2 months, I've asked board members, ask questions. I've sent materials. I haven't gotten any. So if you needed more information to make a decision, tonight is not the necessary time to be asking those. We've had 2 months where we brought this up. And I guess if I was in question on where we would go, I would have preferred to have a lot of those answers being able to be presented tonight. We also sent other additional information. The coaches had a specific meeting to answer some of the questions that were presented. Trustee Hager had presented some questions related to what numbers look like, what practices look like, what would be that tipping point of where we would look at. And I brought all the coaches in and they took a Tuesday, was it a Tuesday morning or Monday morning? One of the two, and they took 2 hours answering those questions in a room with the activities directors because those were the questions we had. But I also want to give them the opportunity, and I don't know how we might do that, to provide some insight into some of those discussions. And I did ask that they be willing to speak, a couple of them, if there was to be moved forward with discussion at least, so they can have some ideas in relation to providing some more information.
I think that procedurally, and let's discuss this as a board, but I think that procedurally, because you make a motion doesn't necessarily mean you have to vote in favor of. But I feel as though we need to have some formal procedure, a motion pending, in order to engage in the discussion that Mr. Kramer has mentioned. I mean, I see several of the ADs sitting in the audience. It may be helpful to ask those questions if that's the desire of the board. Does that make sense? Trustee Steinbach, were you going to say something?
Yes, but do you want me to make a motion and so we can have a discussion? Is that what you would like?
Does the board disagree? I feel as though we need to procedurally have a motion pending to engage in the discussion.
We make the motion.
You do not have to vote in favor of it. You have to take action. Yes. Is that? The action could be tabled. Correct. Yes. Okay. So Trustee Steinbach, are you willing to make a motion?
Yes, I would move to approve the changes to the high school wrestling program.
Okay, if with that is there a second? Thank you. Now we can engage in better discussion formally.
So I was prepared to actually vote in favor of this tonight. Like I came here and prepared to do that based on the information I had. And then we had our speakers and then I felt like, oh gosh, maybe I don't have all the information. I would really like to hear from Southeast and Lingle. We heard from Torrington, but I would like to hear what Southeast and Lingle think about this proposed change.
And Mr. McSpadden, are you comfortable answering that question? Like you've spoke with your athletes, you've spoke with your athletes' parents. So do you have a kind of an idea? Yes, please, sir, please. And then Mr. Lashley, if you could do the same. I don't know if you guys need to stand up there together for moral support or.
We love each other.
I know you do. I know you do.
Okay,
So
I love it.
I did get to speak to all our kiddos, and I was able to bring up some of the younger kiddos. I wanted to hear what the junior high girls had to say, for example. And it's very different. Our high school kids, my high school kids, for example, were very quick to understand that they need better competition. We had one kid that placed at state, and his only other kid in his weight class was a JV wrestler at best. And he said, I can't give my wrestling partner good competition because I only teach him how to do just enough to beat me. And I'm only learning how to get pinned every single day. And that does him no good. And that was pretty much the consensus. They wanted a better opportunity for themselves to get better. And it would do us no good if Mr. Bartlett and I were wrestling. We're different weight classes. But at Southeast, that's our options. We are a smaller school and we don't have a lot of kids in the same weight that are going to give each other good competition. With that being said, every kid was in favor of. I didn't have a single worry that was negative about wrestling at all. The travel was a worry. We have kids that live in the Grange. They were trying to, and she's a girl wrestler, and she was trying to figure out how she was going to make it to possibly Lingle every day. That was our only concern. Outside of that, it was positive, and they understood that if we win a state championship, every school gets a banner. They understand that when we have a kid that wins a state championship, every kid, doesn't matter the school, will be hung up on our wall of fame because every school has a wall of fame. I think if we're all part of the same team, we all be celebrated. That makes total sense.
Okay.
And that's where we had our conversations, and all the kids, like I said, I didn't have one negative conversation from the kids that I was able to talk to, and it is about the kids. I want to make sure that we understand that it's the best opportunities for the kids.
I guess I would like to echo what Coach McSpadden said. We had the same conversations at our school. Everybody's on board. I want to refer to the meeting that Mr. Kramer talked about. We did get together, all the wrestling coaches, the ADs, business manager, everybody was involved looking at the whole thing. And everybody, all the coaches, all the ADs, all the schools are on board to do some type of combination. When we started this, I actually brought this conversation up. I think it might have been in the November DAC meeting. It was just a few weeks before the wrestling season started. Lingle Fort Laramie, we're in a bit of a unique situation. We actually had as many or more girl wrestlers than we did boy wrestlers. We had like 18 girls wrestling just from LFLSE. We had one head coach, Coach Gifford, and he agreed for a year to be the head coach of both. We had assistant coaching staffs separate for boys and girls. We had too many kids to be able to practice in the same room. So Coach Gifford made the decision that one week the girls would practice in Southeast, the boys would practice in Lingle. The next week they would switch. Okay. Imagine any head coach of any sport. All right. Let's say it was THS basketball. Boys and girls had the same head coach, and that coach was only at half the practices and half the competitions. That is not sustainable. That is part of the problem. And I saw this train wreck coming, and that's why I brought it up in November. At that point, we knew that that was too late to make any changes for the upcoming season. So Coach Gifford literally ran himself ragged. By the time the wrestling season was over, and I apologize, Coach, he was not the same guy. He was wore out because he was trying to coach two teams in two places, go to all these different tournaments, and it's not sustainable. So in my opinion, at the very least, if you decide not to combine, we have to, LFLSE has to separate our two programs. We have to have two head coaches. We have to have assistant coaches to fill each of those staffs out. We just have to. All right. The other thing is the season went along, it was a logistical problem. Luckily, Blowdorn Lumber stepped up and we got to use the old Trans West building for our middle school girls. If we don't have that facility, I honestly don't know what we would have done. It would have been a situation we wouldn't have had a choice. We would have had to go on some early, late practices. All right. It's been brought up that wrestling is different. It is. It's different than basketball, football, volleyball, track. It's different. The requirements on the student athletes is different. The weight management, the rest, the hydration, all those things are different for wrestlers than they are kids in other sports. Can you imagine a girl that lives in LaGrange having to drive to Lingle in the dead of winter or either a late practice that starts at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, or God forbid, a morning practice that starts at 6 a.m. Now, my daughter is an adult. I would not want her driving in the dead of winter at 4 o'clock in the morning going somewhere for wrestling practice. One of the big issues for me is logistics. We don't have the facilities to take care of all the wrestling that we have. I wish we did. We've investigated a lot of options. There really doesn't seem to be anything that's sustainable that's out there. All right, so the logistical issue is real. You know, the other part of this is Torrington High School right now has a handful of girls, very good girls, very committed girls. But with that few of them, and those numbers could change, I fully recognize that. They are missing out on opportunities that the LFLSE girls are getting to have. Scottsbluff started a varsity girls duels tournament, and we were this, Lingo Fort Laramie at Southeast was the second phone call they made. The first was Cheyenne East. We were the second. They called Laramie, they called Kelly Walsh. They were all bigger schools. Why did they call us? Because they knew we had almost 20 girls and they knew we could fill a duels team. That's why they didn't call Torrington. Sending 5 girls to a duels tournament doesn't do anybody any good. I've said this publicly before, I'll say it again. I would put the Goshen County wrestling coaching staff up against any coaching staff in the state of Wyoming. I believe that strongly about the people that we have. You know, and I know that Ms. Hager, you mentioned and talked about Torrington specifically. I absolutely agree with you 100%. I love these gentlemen in the front row. I'd go to war with them. All right, but I can say the exact same thing for the LFLSC coaching staffs. These guys in the front row, right? 2 regional championships in a row. What more do you want, right? Okay, a state title. A lot of things have to happen. All right. The LFLSE girls, the last 3 years have finished 5th at regionals. Regionals are 1 class. So we're going against all the big schools. The 4 schools that finished in front of us those years are the Gillette schools, Sheridan, Kelly Walsh, and Cheyenne East, and then LFLSE. That tells you about our coaching staff and what they're able to accomplish. We have great people that are willing to work. When we got together in our meeting, all of these people agreed. The people that you trust, the people that you are advocating, right? They all agreed across the board that some type of combination needed to happen. If you trust these people, like I trust these people, you have to believe that they are not going to advocate for something that is going to be detrimental to the young men and young women in our school district. They will not do that. It was brought up that a few years ago, we looked at this, and it's kind of funny. The tables actually are complete 180. Before, most of the Torrington people were in favor of some type of combination. LFLSE, no, we just wanted to do our own thing. All right. Now in the community, it's almost flip-flopped, right? The LFLSE people are like, yeah, let's do it, right? And now the Torrington people are like, well, you know, there's some things we need to look at. And you're right. There are things that we need to look at. You know, Blazer pride is real. Right? LFLSE pride is real. We don't have a mascot. That hasn't stopped our teams from going and performing, right? Those are things that I think we can work through as we move through this process. I really do believe that. You know, the concerns are real. One of the young ladies at the public meeting mentioned that, you know, her granddaughter really needed somebody, a male, to be able to practice against because there was nobody her weight. That's real. That's a real concern, right? You want your child to be in a room that somebody they can wrestle with that's their own weight. I can also tell you that there was a young man from Torrington that struck up a conversation with me. Had nothing to do with any of this, but he did mention to me that having girls in the Torrington wrestling room made him uncomfortable. And that there were times that he had to wrestle young ladies, and that made him uncomfortable. And I could see why. In wrestling, you're touching each other. You're putting each other in positions that boys and girls should not be in the same wrestling room. We've moved beyond that. Mr. Kramer has told me, love you.
Uh-oh.
Told me many times, told me many times that part of his job was to keep our school district out of litigation. Because there were things that I wanted, I'm like, dude, we've got to do this. This kid, we've got, and he's like, pump the brakes, dude. Right? And he's told me that. If we keep having boys and girls in the same wrestling room, I'm telling you, that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. When we started this process, Mr. Kramer made it clear that it was not a both or neither proposition, that we could combine one and not combine the other. Maybe we combine both. I don't know. That's what you need to decide. I would say at the very least, now I'm in favor of combining both. I would say at the very least, we need to put girls together. We should not have girls in the boys' wrestling room. That's not fair to them. It's not fair to the young men. All right. So I'd be willing, Coach Bartlett, any of the coaches, anybody who wants to chip in, if you think I'm passionate, I am. All right. We started LFLSC at ground zero with nothing. And we worked really, really hard to build our girls wrestling program up. And again, I'm not saying that these gentlemen in the front row aren't. They are. These wrestling coaches are a team. They're a community. They support each other at the wrestling duels. They're cheering each other on. There are times when there's too many mats for coaches. They're coaching each other's kids at tournaments. They're not going to lead you astray.
Mr. Bartlett, just out of fairness, do you want to address anything specifically? I mean, I gave these two the opportunity. Anything you want to add? Okay.
Or the Torrington coaches.
Or sorry, Trustee Hager, go ahead. We'll get them.
Doesn't matter. It was some wrestling coach. Could you guys explain just to the board as it sits like district and state spots right now, having two separate teams, Torrington? I think everybody would join the team.
Well, they took a straw poll and the coaches, you guys help me out here. Jeez. I guess when a guy says he's going to retire, they just give him the mic.
You got the mic.
Well, and out of fairness, if the Torrington coaches, if you guys would like to address this as well, please feel free to.
There was a straw poll taken at the state tournament, if I'm saying this correctly, about looking at the possibility of changing from a 3 classification boys wrestling tournament to 2. A lot of that is, and it's not about, right now, it's not about funding, it's not about money. And we all agreed on that right up front. But we went to a regional tournament, our boys did, in the 2A East Regional, and we spent a couple days up there, all these expenses, and 1 total athlete was eliminated that didn't go to state. 1 of every school that was there. So there's an expense, in my opinion, that. So then you go to state, and Coach Gifford, was there 30-some 40 buys? 40 buys in the first round of the wrestling tournament in 2A. So the state is looking at, like, this isn't the best wrestling tournament. So they took a straw poll. The agreement by the coaches was to just combine to 2. Now the coaches don't get to make that decision. That's the WHSA board of directors. And there wasn't a proposal this spring. I don't know if there will be. Girls wrestling is growing so much that they are looking at splitting it up. And I think that's going to happen probably by the next reclass cycle. It will now be 2 classes. If we were to combine both boys and girls, either one would still be class 3A. We would not be bumped up into the 4A division. We would be considered to be 3A schools. Did that kind of answer your question? Or
on the state level, yeah, I was mainly meaning for one of you guys to explain. So right now we have 2 teams. We're taking 2 teams in state. We're taking Lingle with how many ever spots?
Times 2, you can take 2. So you can take 2 wrestlers per weight. Our county has 2 teams. We're taking Lingle, Southeast, and Torrington. So basically, rough numbers, you can have 4 spots per weight for our kids in our county. If we combine to 1 team, you'll divide that in half. So instead of being able to take 4 wrestlers for our kids in our county, we'll take 2. That's what I was wanting.
Yeah,
So everybody understood that.
He is absolutely correct. Right now, on our boys and the girls teams, we can take 2 in each weight class. So we've got a total of 4. If we combine, obviously we can only take 2. I will tell you, and maybe not quite so much for Torrington, but I know it is for LFLSE. I mean, we've had kids qualify for the state wrestling tournament. I swear to God, that didn't win anything all year. But because there were only 7 or 8 kids in their bracket at regionals, by default, all they had to do was weigh in and they went to state. And they wrestled a total of 13 seconds in 2 matches. And I mean, so yes, that is correct. But sometimes, in life, you gotta compete and you gotta fight and you gotta work to get better. It is a concern that if we bring other kids in and put them together, that there's gonna be some of our kids that are gonna be left at home. But I'm telling you, that doesn't bother Star Valley, right? It doesn't bother Cody. It doesn't bother Green River. Those kids know, hey, when I'm younger, I may not be varsity, but I'm gonna fight and wrestle and get better. And by the time I'm a junior and senior, I'm gonna be a state champ. You got to put your time in. Yeah.
And can I also, I want to mention, like, as a comparison, indoor track. All of the schools, they all compete, they're on one team, and they've done very well at state with indoor track, and they have to compete against each other. And so that competition has been really good for them, because then those athletes go into outdoor track and they have gained so much by having that competition. So I think that I feel like that's a really positive thing, that we provide the students with that ability to compete and to get better.
In all fairness, one of the unique things about this situation, like indoor track, we never had separate indoor track programs. We would go to Cheyenne Central and compete, and then we just made one, right? Tennis, golf, cross country, we've never had those sports. Our kids have always come into Torrington. This is unique in the fact that we all have existing sports and we're talking about putting them together. And that's where, the mascot and the colors and, what are we going to be called and all those things. That's where all this comes into play, because it is a unique situation. It very much is. Coaches, I'd like to hear from you, actually.
The only reason that if we could go wherever, yes, absolutely, but on the mic, so people that are watching from video, I want to make sure everybody's heard, so those who are watching from home can hear more of this. And also, I was going to say this before, but thank you, board, for actually allowing this to move forward with at least a motion. I realize that it must change, but thank you, because these guys have put a lot of discussion and talk. So thank you for making that motion so we can actually have that discussion.
Yeah, go right ahead. If you guys would introduce yourselves too and let us know what your role is.
I'm the assistant girls wrestling coach at LFLSE. Kind of a unique situation. Actually wrestled at Torrington High School. I had a son who wrestled for Torrington High School, and then this is my first year coaching at LFLSE. So it was kind of a unique situation sitting in these meetings and listening to everything that came around. Listening to some people in the community. We did want to answer the questions that were coming in from the surveys. One of the things that we talked about, combining boys and girls, if the boys and girls were combined, the boys would come into Torrington and the girls would go out to LFLSE. Reason for that is we have the facility to hold all the girls. Torrington has the facility to hold all the boys, and then it still holds that facility if we do not have that blow-door building, that the middle school girls would have the opportunity to wrestle out at Yoder. So all wrestling teams were taken care of as far as facilities. And who is going where. We started talking about what's this thing going to be called, and that is a concern. That was one of the #1 concerns on the surveys when we met. We had a short-term solution to this. We all agreed, and correct those, but we all agreed with the boys coming into Torrington. The boys would be called Torrington Trailblazers. The girls going out to LFL would be LFLSE. Everybody agreed across the board between coaches, athletic directors. With that in mind, if it needed to be revisited down the line, and we needed to, especially with the rotations of uniforms and things like that, if something needed to change, it needed to be postponed as far as what are we going to call this thing. But we all agreed that the boys would be Torrington Trailblazers, the girls would be LFLSE. We didn't want we feel strongly about this. We did not want a name to be the only thing that held this up. We feel that this is what's best interest in the wrestlers to develop the best wrestlers in this district. I was fortunate, I hope you don't mind, I got to wrestle with on the same team as Mr. Hager. Our wrestling room, in my opinion, was top notch. Our iron sharpens iron. The better people we can get in the wrestling room for our kids to wrestle, the better they are going to be down the line. Are they going to be state champs? Who knows? But they're going to be better for it. We're going to be a better team. Sorry, I feel like I'm on the soapbox.
You're doing great.
And on a selfish note, I have a daughter that's coming through that looks like she's going to wrestle. I want her to have the opportunity to become the best wrestler possible. I want the girls in this district to become the best wrestlers possible. I want the boys in this district to be the best wrestlers possible. One example, we talked about girls being one class. LFLSE goes to regionals, they take fourth. I think Torrington, 12, right? 12. You combine those two, we win the 4A East Regional by a half a point over Sheridan. So we got some amazing talent in this community. And I feel like bringing it all together, boys and girls, our goal is to grow wrestling. I would love to see girls wrestling continue to grow, boys wrestling continue to grow. This decision allows that to happen. Being able to experience greatness can you imagine bringing that back home? We just beat Sheridan, Cheyenne East, Campbell County, Thunder Basin, a community our size. Our kids deserve to experience that kind of success and that kind of excellence, as do our boys. Everybody in this district, and this decision that we make here tonight, if we're in favor of this, allows that to happen. In my opinion, in our opinion. Right? So I'm going to leave that at that on the mic. I feel like I'm talking to push. But that's just where I sit on this. Being on both sides of that, that's where I stand.
Appreciate that.
I'm Brandon Gifford, head coach of both boys and girls Lincoln Fort Laramie Southeast wrestling teams. I'll just speak a little bit to my challenges that I went through this last wrestling season. I'm more than happy to continue doing that. My concern more than myself was I was doing a disservice to our athletes. And it's a great blessing when we have enough numbers that it's appropriate to have our girls have their own practice facility, which I believe they deserve, and our boys to have their own practice facility, which I believe they deserve. And in order to do that, I can't be in two places at once. And I felt like I was doing a disservice to our athletes because I'm only with the boys 2 days a week. I'm with the girls 2 days a week. And then I got to make a decision on Friday and Saturday. Where am I going? Am I going to coach the boys that weekend? Am I going to coach the girls that weekend? And so I felt it was I was doing a disservice to our athletes, and I didn't like the way I felt about that. I didn't like that position I was putting them in and was in myself. And so to me, this is a long-term solution. I'm not just looking next year. I'm looking down the road, multiple years into the future. Girls wrestling has changed this game. When we had this conversation 5 years ago, girls wrestling hadn't even blossomed yet, right? We just had a few female wrestlers that were wrestling with the boys. It hadn't become its own program, its own sport yet. And so girls wrestling has really changed the outlook and the future of wrestling, in my opinion, in Wyoming and across the United States. And so I think that needs to be considered moving forward, is making sure that we are still in a position to provide our female athletes and our male athletes with the best possible opportunity to succeed. And my fear is if we don't move forward, we're going to kick the can down the road, and we're going to end up having this conversation 3 or 4 years down the road again. Whether that be a financial issue or just a pure logistics issue, because our numbers hopefully have grown so much. I feel like we're in a unique position where we've been able to sit down as a coaching staff, both Torrington and Lingle Southeast, and have good conversations and have a plan in place that we feel good about, that we feel is going to be the best that best serve our student athletes. And that's why we're up here today.
I'm Cody Grant. I'm the head coach for Torrington. I don't say the boys because I'm in the same boat as Brandon. I mean, we only had 5 girls, but next year we could have. We're not. We lose 1, but we're probably, I would say, maybe gain 4 or so freshmen. So we're looking at 8 or 9 girls, and then I kind of felt the same. Like we're doing kind of a disservice to the girls because we have 1 coaching staff. So a lot of times, and no one was designated a head coach for the boys or the girls. I guess I was head for both. Coach Meyer, all of his experience and stuff, he kind of took the girls, that job, but he wasn't that. I mean, he didn't have the title as a head coach. So I'm saying too, if we do not combine, then I do think we need a head coach for the girls, head coach for the boys, assistant staff. And I'm also concerned about just logistics because I do not think combining just the girls and not the boys is going to help anything because now we're adding an extra team, I feel like, and the practice situation is not any better because now we have probably 3 fuller teams trying to figure out practice. So if we combine both, then I feel like the practice facility situation is a little bit better. I also am just kind of concerned too, like we had this discussion, what was it, 5 years, probably 5 years ago. And again, like if we don't, address it, we're addressing it, but I feel like we will be kicking the can down the road because I mean, we've seen some of this stuff coming out with WHSA. And now one of the things in there was the 2, I mean, they laid out that like, I do believe the 2 class is going to happen. They've already started getting the proposal and sending out the, whatever, coaches feedback and everything on that. So, and one thing I would say too, is I don't think, no kids are going to lose out on opportunities. It actually creates opportunities. Again, like I know for me and the coaches, it's hard for us to either leave the girls or the boys if that were to happen. Like we've coached them for since they've been there. But it is true that our 5 girls that are wrestling do not have the opportunities to wrestle in duels or compete as a team for a team title or a state title. And then as far as the boys go, losing opportunities, I think it creates better opportunities. Again, I would kind of follow along with the iron sharpens iron. But, I don't know why wrestling's looked at as a different sport. Like in football, you wouldn't look at, say, you have one person that can play quarterback and that's a good situation. No one's pushing that quarterback to get better. No one's pushing him. Like what's going to happen? They get complacent. They don't get better. Wrestling's the same way. I've seen it too, where we've had kids come into our room and this is when our numbers are low and like our number's going to go like this, but we're all going to hit where we have maybe 10 guys in a room sometimes. And without that competition, I think actually some wrestlers, they're losing out on opportunities because they're never reaching their potential because they've never had a practice partner. It's a different sport too. You have a 106 pounder. What if everyone's 140 and above? They don't have a wrestling partner. Or if you have one kid that's 250 and the rest of your wrestlers in that room are 140, 150. So I think it creates opportunities. Also, when we have like 16 kids, 14 goes to a varsity tournament, that leaves 3 JV kids. If you have a full team, a varsity and a JV team, you're sending a varsity to a varsity tournament and a JV to a JV tournament. And you're also, no one's losing out on practice opportunities, competition opportunities. The one opportunity is they might have to earn their way to state. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Doyle Meyer. I was a head coach for Torrington High School for about 20 years. Came back to the sport after a brief retirement from the sport. I was asked to come back and help coach. 2 things. Mark Estes does a great job with doing the little kids tournament. And then they get to middle school and to high school and we blow the camaraderie. We blow up everything that those kids have built together as a team, as a community, as parents. Okay, combining the girls and the boys keeps the integrity of the sport of wrestling that's established by Mark and the Warhawks together. Another aspect, I have publicly tried to combine the teams for about 15 years. Okay. I've been shot down at the DAC meetings, we brought to the school board. I challenge you to have the courage and the forethought to do it now and not later.
Well, I'm Pete Bukowski and I am not a teacher. These guys all are, so I am not a public speaker and I ramble a lot. I ran a wrestling club before Mark since 2010 to 2022. I will say this, since 2014, I've coached every single state champion in Goshen County, girls and boys. I got that on my record. I coached them all from little kids to national levels and everything. And I'm with Mr. Meyer too. I've been pushing this since my kids were in school. Little side note on me, I'm not from around here. I'm from Minnesota, and we had the same situation when I was in high school, junior in high school. We combined, it was the same thing. You're not going to make everyone happy at all. Not everyone's getting happy, but do it for the kids. And then when my kids got into high school, we had to combine our wrestling program. And some of you guys see me wear this purple shirt. You always make fun of me because it says, you think it says Glen Rock, but it's not. It's each one of our school towns initials. So I came from Grand Meadow, which is a super lark, and our colors were purple. So the GMLOK on it had to be purple. That's where I was. And Leroy for the L, they had to wear red for their number. So I mean, you're still gonna, like I said, you're not gonna make everybody happy in this. We're doing this for the kids, and all of us up here are in agreement on this. This is what they need. No participation ribbons. We want them to earn it. Just like when they get out of school, they got to earn their job, just like every single one of you got to earn it. All right. Yes, we get to go 2 per weight class up to state. And if you do the numbers right, it's what is it? Who's the math teacher up here? 28. All right, we can send. Okay. It's not, I mean, yes, some might not get to go. Okay. But the Torrington or whatever we're going to get called, that can be postponed. That's a big deal. I know it for a fact. I've been to it twice. Okay. But we can get past that. We can. Okay. But let's do this for the kids and their future. Okay. Not just buddies. Okay. That's all I got to say.
Any questions for these guys while they're up there? Incredible, you guys. Thank you for taking the time. That was very helpful. Any other discussion or questions?
I have a clarifying question. The motion on the floor, is it to combine both teams? Combination of both girls and boys high school teams? It was vague. It was a vague motion. Mm-hmm.
You can clarify your motion. If you want to clarify your motion, that would be the time.
Countywide team.
Thank you,
Two
Trustee
teams.
Steinbach. Yep. With that clarification, any further discussion? Okay.
I kind of worry that in the survey that we did at the auditorium that you had the results for, less than 50% of the kids supported it. So it kind of makes me worry a little bit that, you know, some kids might not want to continue to wrestle. And I would really hate to see that because I think wrestling's a great sport.
I'm gonna quick put up this is where we surveyed all those in those programs. And I'm just gonna hopefully be able to, yeah.
And you can see that? That's incredible.
That is impressive. Because that wasn't happening for me. So yes, and absolutely right. It is very mixed results. The very supportive was 22%. The somewhat supportive, 16.75%. Neutral was 31.2%. and then somewhat concerned, 14.6, and then 14.6 on the very concerned. So it's kind of, it is mixed. It absolutely is mixed. Now, one might argue too, that if you counted those who are neutral would be okay with it, and somewhat supportive, and then very supportive, then you're adding that. Now, you can also make that same argument for the other way, that those in the neutral could go to the opposite side. And so it's kind of right in that middle. There is, when you're doing and making a big decision like this, I would love to provide you with a survey of a calendar or a combination of sharing anything that would give you 100%, because I guarantee for board members that would be much easier. And we're not going to get that. We're rarely ever going to get that. And this is a big decision. I appreciated the public comment in relation to that, because it is a very big decision that affects significantly a large number of kids. And I appreciate the work that the coaches did. I appreciate the fact that the parents also spoke in relation to that, because it is one of those things that definitely changes the dynamic of our communities.
Kids, I think, 100% of the kids, sure, the coaches would probably say it's in our best interest to practice people. That's just the nature of wrestling. Everybody at all levels is experience of that. Better wrestling room, better practice room, the better you're going to be. It's just a fact. Yes. And one thing, I know all the wrestling coaches, and they do wrestling super well. They came up, up here and do a super good job at presenting on the topic of wrestling. The concern I have, and I think the main concern I feel of the large part of the community is, how are we going to, or whose responsibility is it to preserve each of the three schools' identity? I don't think anybody has an answer to it. That's why nobody answered that question. It's just one of them things, like, I think someone said, well, let's just jump into it and we'll figure it out. And I do think that's probably what we're going to have to do, just because everybody can throw out ideas on how to preserve each school's identity, but it's just a hard topic. And I do agree with the coaches that aspect of it isn't as great as helping the kids practicing together. So I think that is one thing that we can overcome. I just would encourage the ADs and coaches and parents of all three schools, not just kick that can down the road and forget about it too. Like I said, during the season, the coaches are focused on wrestling. I don't care. That's really not their big focus, and it shouldn't be. Somebody has to kind of address it. I think if all representation from all three schools continually can put their heads together and create ideas around identity part.
I appreciate that, Trustee Hager. Go ahead, Trustee
I
Stewart.
just want to mention, I agree with that, but I also think that we should have the kids be a part of that. And if we are able to combine them, then when they're in that group, I think that will organically work itself out. Because I think the kids, I think they should have a say in this and be a part of that. And in order to do that, wrestling together, it creates those relationships and that camaraderie. And I think that they will have the best idea about how to do that when it comes to it.
One thing I do want to just clarify, and I hate to go on this tangent, but I know it was mentioned that this is not a financial decision, and I would agree, this is not a financial decision. That does not mean our extracurricular activities are flush and there is not financial considerations. Because based on everything that right now, as you saw with Wyoming High School Athletic Association coming out, finances are a significant concern in regards to extracurricular. It is not a financial decision in regards to combining, because unfortunately, combining one program would not make a significant impact on our finances for extracurricular. But I just want to clarify that because I don't want to take it away from here. Oh, Goshen County doesn't have to worry about anything in finances related to extracurricular. That is not correct. So.
Well, and I think that on that note, if what I heard is correct from these gentlemen, is it could actually cost us more money because they need better staffing or more adequate staffing.
There always is that potential, yes.
Especially if your numbers support it, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it is our reality, just so this board knows, right? With recalibration, we are taking about a $900,000 hit on activities. And that has been discussed, just to be clear, for months and months. That this was not a secret. That number has been thrown around. We've talked about it publicly for quite some time. So it is important. Trustee Hager, I share your sentiments about, and Mrs. Hager, I share your sentiments about that pride in being a trailblazer. I have it for being a Cyclone. Both of my kids now go to Southeast because of it, frankly, to be honest. It's deep, and it's part of who our small communities are, right? And it's what these communities are based on. But I truly believe in this group. I mean, this group has been incredible. This is one of the best presentations, that we've had on this board, frankly. I believe that this group can figure out a way to satisfy all of those needs, because what it sounds like is the greater need is to combine to help the kids. So I believe in this group, and I think that they can do the right thing when it comes to naming or determining whose name is on their jerseys. I really do. Anyone else have any comments or questions or clarification needed? Okay, with that, I believe
Just a second, Lena.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Oh, you're okay. Without actually combining, would it be possible to just rotate from school to school a couple times a week for practice? Like Lingle and Southeast goes to Torrington on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays back the other way.
They always knew where the time schedule was always the same. Bus trips were the same. We got no negative feedback about not rotating. So when we got together as coaches, that's kind of how we moved the direction that we did. Part of it also is there's no way that we will be the high school girls or the high school boys at yoga space. So we couldn't do a true rotation because they're failing. Honestly, you couldn't, I don't think we could have a voice team.
So say you did all this, everything you guys have outlined, find it without combining the two teams. You know what I'm saying? What if you just practice together? Is that doesn't allow you to do that?
I mean, it's just like Lingle and Southeast can't, basketball teams can't practice together. They're against that.
Especially if we go to two class.
Yeah.
In the same.
Yeah.
Same class, and then. Instead of us hating each other by not combining. Ever.
That is a
like I said, from the great southeast practice, and they normally live. Southeast. Central location.
Both ends of the county having to go the extra distance after school and then, take some 2 hours to get home or whatever. And after a long day and late night, and it makes it, I'm afraid, like everybody at the far reaches will just say, well, we're just not going to do that.
They have the point price for the things out at Prairie Center. So we do have those travel things. But that one, I don't think money will create a new.
Any other questions? Good conversation. So the motion, if I understand it correctly, is to approve combining the wrestling teams for both boys and girls at this time. Okay. All those in favor of doing so, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again, everyone, for the conversation. That was incredible. Who knew that that was going to be a harder discussion than our next item being the preliminary budget?
You don't know that yet.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much. So next on the agenda is approval of the FY 2027 preliminary budget as presented by Ms. Cates. Before she presents, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd move to approve the preliminary budget as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All right, Ms. Cates, take it away.
Well, what I have in here in regards to the preliminary budget is what was presented in regards to the salary relations compensation recommendation presented last month. On page 58, the general fund is at a deficit spending $600,000 for a 12.47% carryover. I'm not going to bore you with each individual line item unless you have any questions. Moving on to the other funds, I'll speak on those just very topically. On page 59, the special fund, this budget is very hard to put together and present to you as we've not received allocations from the state yet for any of the federal monies we would be receiving. That being the title programs, the 6B special ed funding. This is put together at a 95% allocation based upon what was received last year. Undoubtedly, it's going to be varied when that comes before you for final budget. The major maintenance fund on page 60, this is the fund where we receive our maintenance for our district buildings. And this is based upon an anticipated revenue budget of $2,850,000. The capital construction fund is also money coming from the state. That's on page 61. This is the funds that would provide for the HVAC project at Lingle Fort Laramie, the rooftop units at the gym, both the middle school and high school gym. Page 62, the food service fund. This budget is put together based upon staying as a CEP district where we're providing free meals to students. that'll be a conversation that needs to be had next month, but there is a need to transfer $550,000 from general fund to food service to sustain that. If we're not a CEP district, there still is going to be a need for a transfer, as the district is not 100% sustainable. Student activities on page 63. This is our fundraising. Student activities and athletics. This is money raised and money spent on student activities. You're going to hear about banner funds and some of those kind of things that's really supplementing the athletics in our buildings.
I mentioned something. This is gonna. Yeah. For information here, right now, the Wyoming Department of Education in this recalibration process, where we talked about the 50% of interest going back to the state, when that discussion happened in recalibration, in the making of the rules right now, the Wyoming Department of Education on their frequently asked questions is saying every interest-bearing account, 50% needs to go back to the state. So those banner sales and the dollars those students are earning, 50% of that interest that was generated in the bank by putting it there would have to be sent to the state. So in essence, the state would be profiting on our kids' fundraising activities. Now, there is a push by the superintendents and pushback by different organizations to clarify some of those accounts. But it just really, really bothers me that anybody would even consider that to be the intent, or through the legislation and recalibration, that those would be the dollars that need to be sent back to the state on interest-bearing accounts. So sorry, Marcy, I can't control myself on that one, because it just, hearing that last Wednesday just absolutely still boggles me on why that would be even considered an option.
Well, and I wasn't going to go there because there's still a lot of debate. Mr. Kramer and I spent quite a bit of time this morning talking about it, but the next one on page 64, the rec board fund, this is a big one when it comes to interest, in that this is money coming in through taxpayers, and if we aren't allowed to maintain that interest to better those dollars, it's going to be very hard to explain. But the rec board fund, this is where our rec board money goes. This is the money that's allocated based upon the committee of members that we have on the rec board. So this is strictly approved projects. On the last page, 65, this is the BOCES fund. And this one, I anticipate as we get into next year, it may look a little bit different. As I talked through with salary relations and some of the very early preliminary budget conversations, there is some funds with the state that was allocated for dual enrollment to be allocated to districts. We are having to transfer from general fund to BOCES in order to maintain all of those dual enrollment offerings to our high school students. We anticipate receiving some of those funds to be allocated, and then we also are hopeful that some of that may be classified in the instructional silo. So that's the reason for the dollar amount. The activity in dual and concurrent is not going to decrease, but how we fund it more than likely will. So with that, that's a really broad brush, pretty quick look at the budget preliminarily. Are there any questions?
Marcy, so on these other interest-bearing accounts, we're not yet showing the 50% being sent back to the state. Is that correct?
That is correct. The interest is a very difficult piece that business managers, superintendents are really struggling with, because the recalibration legislation all was written and is effective July 1 of 2026. For them to go back, essentially they're going back to July 1, 2025, not giving districts an opportunity to plan, number one. Number two, to figure out what that's going to look like, but essentially sweeping half of what we had budgeted for from July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2026. So that's something that Department of Education is repeatedly stating that they're seeking an Attorney General's opinion on, but the opinion they're receiving, business managers, superintendents aren't happy and pleased with. That that conversation is still ongoing.
Any other questions? All right, with no questions, all those in favor of approving the FY 2027 preliminary budget as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider the acceptance of certified staff resignations. Those are, we have a resignation submitted by Trail Elementary Special Education teacher Cheyenne Broadway. And then we have a resignation of Torrington Middle School teacher Christina Bullington. Those will both be effective at the end of this school year. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the certified staff resignations as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of offering teaching contracts for the 26-27 school year. So these will be teaching contracts to Trayton Pearson as a math teacher for TMS, a teaching contract to Tanya Jones as a special education teacher at Trail Elementary, and a contract to Tess Potts as a special education teacher at Trail Elementary. May I have a motion? Thank you. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the teaching contracts for the 26-27 school year as presented, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of proposed revisions to district job descriptions. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the proposed new titles for district job descriptions and proposed revisions as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of proposed new district policy 5111, which is the student use of cell phones, smart devices, and other electronic equipment as presented on introduction and first reading. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the proposed new district policy 5111 as presented on first reading, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of adopting the Wyoming Innovation Partnership Digital Credential Wallet for district students. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Kramer, do you have information you'd like to present?
Yeah.
Inching forward.
Well, this is one where about 50% of the districts have agreed to this. There are concerns with some of that information being kept in one location. I wanted to bring it to the board. I don't have strong feelings in either direction. I think based on some of the descriptions in the FAQ, there are some benefits to our students who would take part in that. Having some of those items that they would be placing together, the transcripts and many of that information electronically would help them kind of fast forward some of the things that they're having to do as they've graduated and have to contact the state for transcripts and all of those things to keep it in one location. There's benefits. There's also drawbacks. So I think that's why you're seeing about half the districts in the state agreeing to be a part of this. And from what I have heard, the biggest concern is putting that information in electronic form, just as it is with any of your information out there right now. As soon as it is in one location, there is more susceptibility and possibility that things could happen.
Trustee chairs?
Do you see me getting ready
I
for
do.
that? So I read through it and it sounds like it's a real guinea pig situation to me. They talk a lot about they're testing this out. They're going to see how this works. So I have obvious concerns with that. Is it an opt-in situation on a student by student basis? Or once the district signs up, are all of our students automatically enrolled in this?
As soon as we sign up, there is not an opt-out per se that I, as an individual student, could say, because your information is already sent. It is all the information that we already have electronically.
So
stored
that
in
was
a
my
different
next
location.
question. Was the only thing it specifically mentioned was transcripts? Is there other information that is
So,
gathered?
so there'd be job information also, and interest surveys, I believe, is also like job interest surveys where you're finding out what career and those type of things that you've taken that might be able to be utilized by that student later for them to access, to have, and provide for college entrance, job performance, those type of things.
ACT scores and all of those. I would just say that at the college level, we have the clearinghouse, and that is a national database, and it makes it so much easier for a student to get their transcripts and to get their data. I know that there's going to be different opinions about the people going digital and having that information out there, but your information is already out there. Let's be honest. And, but I just think that it can be difficult to get your transcript. My younger brother had been out of school for years and years and years and was applying for a plumbing license in Massachusetts and had to have his high school diploma, which is crazy. And it really took us a long time to get that. Because he had been out of school for so long. So I see the benefits, and I understand the drawbacks, and I understand people being wary of this, but I know that it can work at the national level, so I don't understand why it can't work at the state level. And you got to kind of jump off the diving board at some point. So
Was that clearinghouse recently hacked as well as Canvas?
no, that was just Canvas. No. Clearinghouse is not to my knowledge.
Separate.
Yeah.
I guess I would just feel more comfortable if it was a little bit more vetted instead of signing up on this, because it's an open source project. I don't know. I just have concerns.
I kind of agree with you, Sarah. I'd say let it test out for a few years and see.
See how it
what
works on
happens.
everybody else.
Yeah.
The challenge too, as you read that FAQ, the one, will users be able to send their transcripts to schools outside of Wyoming? And this would only be Wyoming institutions currently, so it wouldn't be outside. And it's an interesting thing to kind of take on. It's one of those questions that I wish there was an individual access, because like Sarah, individually, I think to be able to make that decision, I'm in agreement with Trustee Steinbach. All my information is already out there and probably, unfortunately, has been utilized and searched a number of times too, and this added to it. I don't know. But individually to make that decision helps also. So I don't know. It's a very challenging decision.
What's the timeline on this? They talk about a 5-year, did I see that? Yeah, has a 5-year contract. So can we jump on this at any point in the next 5 years, or is this a one and done?
I had not asked that question. I just know that they've been wanting my answer.
So if you give them a couple of years, work the kinks out, and then jump in?
It is possible that we could do that, yes. Or at least I could make that request. I don't know that I could confirm that that's an option, but we could make that request. We would, it does not circumvent our requirement to maintain everything that we have existing. Nothing would change on the local level. Nothing also, as I understand it, even if we would access it, that you would still, after, Maureen, help me out, how many years do they have to call down to the state for transcripts? After 5 years, you would still be able to contact the state and get that transcript. Thank you.
I guess my concern is like, I understand at the college level, right? Your information is out there. These are kids and their transcripts and their information. That's where it kind of gives me the ick a little bit, especially because it hasn't been vetted. So I don't know. And even if that information is out there, I don't want to help them put it out there. Frankly, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. But the other thing is too, we don't have like staff coming to us saying this would help us, right? This is the WDE coming to us saying, hey, try this. I think it'd be different for me personally if like someone internally was like, this would be very helpful in the district.
They did not provide me with the names that had provided that approval. And also in some cases, those districts, there isn't a specific requirement to enter in through a board decision. Some districts just had their superintendent make that determination on their own. Being the mixed responses they've had, I felt more comfortable in having the discussion at the board level and the board making that decision.
In other words, he punted to us.
Yep.
I appreciate that. Any further discussion or questions? Okay. All those in favor, let me get back to it. All those in favor of approving the memorandum of understanding from WDE pertaining to the Wyoming Innovation Partnership Digital Credential Wallet for district students, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Any opposed? All right, that one fails. All right, next is consider approval of revised district communication plan. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the updated plan as presented, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to approve contracting for residential student placement services for the 26-27 school year. May I have a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion?
Madam Chair, I would say just because this is an eye-popping amount of money, maybe we could hear a little bit about how a provider like this is selected. Did we have other choices? Did we not have other choices? And how compliance with FAPE kind of puts us in a spot where we don't have maybe as many options as we'd like, I think is the feel I get.
And I'll check if Trina is, and is online. Okay. I didn't know if she was available. Okay. Were you able to hear those questions, Trina?
Yeah, right. So this particular residential facility, Trustee Goulart, is pretty specialized for what the needs the student has. And in fact, between the parent, myself, and the previous facility where the student was, it took us about 4 months to find a place that would even accept him. So really it's more about finding the right fit for a student and a facility that will accept them and feels like they have programming that'll meet the student's need. So obviously, in those situations, the price point isn't a factor. It's more of finding an appropriate placement because we're not able to meet that student's needs within the district. Does that help? Is there more information I can provide?
No, I think that covers it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just for clarification, this is 100% reimbursable.
That is correct.
Thank you, Trina.
You're welcome.
And Madam Chair, members of the board, if you remember, this was a change with recalibration that will receive funding for out-of-district placements quarterly. So we don't have to wait until the end of the fiscal year to receive the funds we've spent.
And as much as hard time as I've been giving on recalibration, that is a step in the right direction, and we do appreciate that move. So I want to honor those things that are in the right way and help and benefit districts.
Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the contract with HeartSpring to provide residential educational and therapy services for student number 3811 from July 1 of 26 through June 30 of 27, not to exceed $515,244, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of contracting, is it Relay Hub LLC for Medley IEP and 504 plan subscription services. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the contract with Relay Hub LLC for Medley subscription services for online special education IEP and 504 plan development, management and storage system from July 1 of 26 through June 30 of 27 in the total amount of $12,563. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of contracting for district professional development services. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving contract with Dr. PJ Kapasi for in-district professional development services for principals on Danielson Teacher Evaluation Framework in the total amount of $21,900, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of contracting with Access to Learning Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services LLC. Is there a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second? Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So is this, if we are able to hire that speech position, would we still need this? We do? Okay.
Yes, this is separate from that position. Yes.
But this is fully reimbursable with special education. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of contracting with Access to Learning Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services LLC for student hearing services and direct instruction from July 1 of 26 through June 30 of 27, not to exceed $26,000. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of purchase of district copy paper per district policy 3420. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the purchase of 840 cases of copy paper from Contract Paper Group in the total amount of $24,738, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Next is to consider approval of purchase of new gymnasium scoreboards per district policy 3420. May I have a motion? Is there a second? And just to be clear, this is funded by donations, which is fantastic. All right, all of those in favor? Oh, sorry, is there any further discussion? I got excited about the donations.
Mr. Bartlett has agreed to stay longer than he usually has
I'm gonna take that
for
from
the,
him.
for this whole purpose. And so I would allow him to step to the mic and answer any questions that you might have of him this evening.
We did not want to rob you of that opportunity. What you
I'll
got?
Tell you what.
Yeah, what you got?
So we're doing our gym, obviously, new paint, new windows. So, even got the booster club. Sent some new rugs for our benches. We got brand new chairs, which you approved last month. I appreciate that. So this is kind of to update our scoreboards. So I went out and fundraised and got the money, and
That's amazing.
I wasn't gonna be able to pay for it. So
And trust
now, gonna update them.
the current boards on the end that are blue, because Torrington colors, are evidently are blue at some point in time.
Blue's a good color.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Are going to be replaced now with black scoreboards, and they'll be updated and those things.
The center hung scoreboard, that was the original plan. That's probably a little too much to ask. I mean, I tried, and I ended up at, we would have had like 10 people, and then we'd had signs all on the floor and stuff like that. So that was just to update the new in scoreboards. I thought that would be a nice touch. And so everything in the building is new. I have one more thing I'd like to buy, but I might have to wait till next year. So, which is our floor stadium. Everything should be pretty darn new.
Great job with fundraising. That's awesome.
Thank you. Didn't know I had to give 50% back to the state.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just the interest, We're okay on that one. Just not every item.
Any further questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the purchase of 2 scoreboards for the THS gym from Nevco in the total amount of $25,853.50, which is fully funded by no donations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Nice work, Mr. Bartlett. Next is to consider approval of contracting for central administration gymnasium roof repair. This will be funded by insurance proceeds. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, got to get it fixed. All those in favor of approving the contracting with Waddle and Daub for the roof repair of the central gymnasium in the total amount of $87,444, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of contracting for central administration gymnasium skylights. May I have a motion? Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Those two need to be fixed. All right, all those in favor of approving the contract with Powers Products for the repair of the skylights in the total amount of $12,930, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is to consider approval of contracting for emergency replacement of the trail cooling tower. May I have a motion? Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? I'm assuming this is something that can't be avoided.
This is very unique. This is an emergency repair. Typically, we would have issued an RFP, but based upon leaks that were found, we have a 10 to 12 week lead time on getting the cooling tower with both entities. So we really need to circumvent the RFP process and get it going.
Okay, great. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving contracting with GW Mechanical in the total amount of $176,780 for the purchase and install of a replacement cooling tower at Trail Elementary, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And the next item is the one that was added onto the agenda. If I screw this up, please somebody help me. I understand that the recommendation is to add an increased superintendent salary of $177,000 to the June agenda. So what we're doing here, folks, if I understand it correctly, is placing this recommendation for the salary for the superintendent on the next agenda to allow the board some time to think about it and also be transparent with the public as to that amount. Did I get it right? Awesome. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? And just to remind all of you, we did approve Mr. Kramer's contract in January, but because of how things work in education, now we are approving the salary piece. Okay. All right. All of those in favor of adding to the June agenda an action item to approve the increase in the superintendent's salary to $177,000, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. Next is board topics for discussion. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about tonight? Everybody's tired and wants to be done. I get it. I do think we're going to take a break with the building liaisons over the summer, if everybody's okay with that. But I kind of do like how it's going, so we'll probably continue it when school starts back up. If that works. Okay. Any other topics? Oh, one thing I do want to discuss. Emails. Please read your emails. Please respond. We probably sent 15 emails about who's going to graduation, very little response. It just makes it really hard on Lorene to order corsages and to plan and stuff. I get it, like we don't always check our school email, but it's really important that you do at least maybe once a week and respond. There were several emails that went out unresponded to, so that would be very helpful. With that, we will move on to future meetings. District graduations, we got a big week coming up this Wednesday at 5 o'clock. We got PRS at the EWC C-Tech building. Lorraine, did you get attendance from everybody on who's coming? Okay, good. That's okay. All right, so Sunday are all the other graduations. So at 1 o'clock is THS, 2:30 is LFL, and 4 o'clock is Southeast. So please, 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 please let Lorene know so she can order corsages. You can even say you don't want a corsage and she'll ignore it like she did for trustee chairs, but please let her know just so she can plan. Sure. Busy time of year. Or if you're
Because they're pretty.
non-flower part, Sarah. All right, next is regular school board meeting will be Tuesday, June 9, 2026 at 6 p.m. And then the annual district budget hearing will be conducted on Tuesday, July 14, 2026 in conjunction with the regular school July board meeting. One thing I want to put on your radar that I should have done in board topics, I apologize, is we very likely will be having a special board meeting to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent because that is due. So okay. With that, we're adjourned. Everyone have a great night.